So I was diagnosed in January 2011, and the really annoying thing is I'd had this irritating mole, which wasn't from birth, but it was from adulthood, but I thought I'd only had it a year, but I must have had it for 2 or 3 years, and it had got darker. And I thought, oh, it really looks like a beauty spot now. So at Christmas of December 2010, I mentioned it casually when seeing my doctor about something else, and he said, oh, it's probably nothing, but actually we really should get it checked out. And I went to the hospital and showed them it, and straight away the face has changed. And up until that point, even though I'd had urgent referral for suspected melanoma on the referral sheet from the hospital, and it came within the 2-week wait, I didn't actually, it just didn't register, because everything else was going on, busy man, working full time, work problems, all sorts of things. And I got to the hospital for the referral appointment with dermatology, and their faces just changed, and there was this whole whirlwind of things going on, and I'm sitting there saying, oh, right, today, I haven't shaved my legs. I was just trying, I think subconsciously I was trying to just trivialise it so I didn't have to deal with it. And I was just anything but to think about it. It's like, I'm going to have to get someone to pick the kids up, and all these different things going on. And then I just remember getting home and just thinking and thinking, it's cancer, because of the whole reaction. I had the dermoscope, I don't like the way the cells are behaving, all these things going on. And so I started Dr. Google, as you do, whilst waiting for the results. And I had it down as a nodular, because that's what it had looked like. Had all these horrible things, I was dead and buried. And then I started looking at other moles. And so I rang them a few days later and said, because my follow-up appointment was about 3 weeks later, I said, I really need to get some other moles checked out. Could I come in before, that appointment? And they got me in, and as soon as I walked in the room, again, it was that look. And there was a Macmillan nurse there. There were 2 doctors there, the surgeon who'd done the surgery and a dermatologist, and they just said, it was a melanoma. And I was like, oh. My mother was in the waiting room, and I hadn't thought to take her in because I was just going to tell them about these other moles that I wanted looking at. And they were saying, oh, it's fine though, it's thin melanoma, it's 1 millimetre, we don't think you're going to need you're going to need some more treatment for a wide local excision, because it's on your ankle and it's on the flex. You're probably going to need a skin graft, so we're going to have to transfer you across to plastic surgery. But that's probably the only treatment you're going to need. And, it started to feel, oh, I can breathe again. It's not as bad as I thought. But it was always there. And it's that, oh, you've got cancer. And I don't think, now that I'm stage 4, I don't think it makes any difference whether you get told you're stage 1, stage in situ, or stage 4. You've been told you've got cancer, and your life stops and it changes direction and it doesn't go back. And it's just really hard, and I found it hard when I was stage early melanoma, thin, you'll be fine, to deal with all that side of it, because inside I was like, my babies, I've got 2 beautiful little children, they were tiny then, however 4 and 2 or 5 and 3, and I just kept thinking, I didn't plan this, but actually when I was growing up I probably could have prevented it. Nobody knows for certain, but I probably could have, and so I just got into this whole horrible darkness of, I've got to be here for them, but what the hell have you done? Why have you let this happen? I had quite a lot in the first year going on, and I couldn't walk for about 3 months just because of where it was on the ankle, and that in itself, and I wasn't able to drive for about 8 weeks, I think. That was quite hard to take. So that was 2011, and I think I got all those surgeries out of the way, and then I had another 2 that year, but they were fine as well. And then I got to 2013, and it was over the winter, and it was a January check, And so I'd gone the 3 months. Took off my nail polish, because Christmas it kind of just lasts forever, doesn't it? And you can just leave your toenail polish on. And there was a distinct line. And I thought, and it was the same foot, it was my big toe and it was the same side as the ankle. And I thought, oh, here we go again. And I went through and I obviously went to my appointment and showed them, and they said, there's no way of really knowing without doing a biopsy. Are you a runner? I went, do I look like a runner? It was a case of, we're going to have to take that off. So I then kind of felt like I hadn't gone quite back to the beginning of emotions and darkness, but that waiting period is absolute. It doesn't matter what you're waiting for, that waiting period and not knowing what's happened is just hell on earth. And melanoia, anxiety, whatever you want to call it. But actually it turns out to be completely benign, a hematoma. I'd obviously just stumped my toe at some drunken party at Christmas. And then from then, I'd had another 3 monthly, and then I think it was at the point where actually, you know, you're out of the woods, so to speak, because you're no longer what we'd consider a high risk. You were only ever going to be a 2% of a recurrence. We'll put you on a 6 monthly, but you must still do your skin checks, which I do religiously every month, and you must still do your lymph node checks, which I do religiously every month. And then in January 2015, I celebrated my 5-year-old clear, popped open a bottle of champagne, booked a weekend away. It was a fantastic feeling, superficially, but deep down I felt kind of abandoned. And what now? And you know, they said you get a kind of a VIP pass back to us straight away if anything happens. You know, anything that you're suspicious about, you come back to us and we'll check it out. But I'd always felt deep down that it would come back, and I think that's just a normal part of anxiety, isn't it? And I did a 4-hour drive down for a road trip for work, and I just had this really heavy dull ache on the right side, and I did think it could just be the nerve damage, but if I'm aching because of the drive, would it not be both sides? But I kept, again, being an eternal optimist. No, don't be ridiculous. And then I got into bed that night in the hotel, and it was really aching to the point I had to take a painkiller. And I just suddenly felt something, and I thought, and you know that sinking feeling when time stands still and you just feel sick to the pit of your stomach. After she rang me back, within 10 minutes, I was in within an hour. I had tests, ultrasounds booked, biopsies booked, and it came back and they said, yeah, it's melanoma. So I ended up having the surgery and everything for the pelvis dissection, which, you know, it came back 4.5 centimetre tumour on the pelvis and some lymph node involvement. I had that last July at Durham, but they'd already transferred me ready to start systemic treatment at this special cancer unit at the Freeman Hospital, which is fantastic. And so they ordered an urgent CT, which then showed 6 tumours in the lungs, and that they then classified me as stage 4. And the decision to decide what treatment was probably the hardest decision ever, and it was because it wasn't necessarily just based on me. There were so many other factors I had to consider. Family, you know, getting to hospital if I was going to go immunotherapy, getting to hospital once every couple of weeks, finances, time off work sick, the kids having to deal with mummy having to go to hospital every couple of weeks, and just all of those things are really hard. And it was really refreshing today to hear every single one of the oncologists singing from the same hymn sheet about, actually, honestly, I don't know what's the best first line treatment. And that I thought, well, that makes my decision easy, because I didn't know either, and I felt like I was taking this whole burden on, when really my doctor should have just said to me, you'll start this treatment. And it's the best treatment, it's the right treatment, it's going to make you better for, not forever, but for a long time. And he couldn't, and he was really honest, but I didn't appreciate it until now, and I thought, I'm so pleased they said that, because now I feel like I made the right decision for me, which is the most important person in this equation. And it's 6 months scan, that's when I was feeling probably the best I felt all since it's happened last year, and that's when I discovered I had brain mets. So that was a bit of a out of the blue kind of a blow, but I just was like, right, What's the plan? What are we going to do? How are we going to tackle this? Let's get cracking. Let's get on with it. Let's get this out of the way. And I thought, well, I'm just going to have to give it my best shot. And so I had that in February this year. And I'm desperately waiting for an urgent brain scan this month to compare to the baseline scan I had in February, to see if it's working, if the blood-brain barrier's kind of broken down a little bit, whether the dab and tram can get across, whether it's time to switch to immunotherapy. I was talking to Professor Hawkins, when's the best time for TILs? All of these things are just going through at the minute, and it's just it's a minefield. I've gone from too many lung mets to one stubborn, and it's stable. It hasn't changed since the last one. And my little boy turned around and said, "Mum, are you going to die?" And I said, "Well, everybody dies sometime. I'm not planning on, not for a long time." And then I was about to kind of go into this whole soliloquy, and he went, "Oh, good, what's for tea?" And that put everything into perspective, and I thought, right, you've just got to deal with this face on, and whatever they want to know, don't lie to them. I'm rubbish at lying anyway. Don't lie to them, just tell them as it is. And they just got used to sun cream, they got used to Mummy staying in the shade, covered up, and they just got used to that way of life, and they've grown up with it. What I didn't want people to talk about was cancer, because some people can take cancer at face value, and some people just, their faces change and you think you just said, "I'm going to die next week." And you don't know how people are going to react. So I didn't never want that mentioned around them, and I wouldn't discuss treatment things around them. I'd just say, "Mummy's going to hospital, I won't be long. Will you be back?" "Yes, I'll be back." And that worked fine. And even this time round when I was in the hospital, they were fine with it, they were okay with it. So I think it's really, really important to be not too much information, but honest, absolutely honest with them. And I always have been. Like the first time that stage 4 actually really hit me, last year my daughter transitioned from year 6 to year 7. We went along to one of the welcome evenings, and they started talking about the new GCSEs and the new flight path to it, and they said, "It's only 5 years and they'll be sitting it." And I just suddenly sat and I could just feel tears strolling down, because I was just thinking, my prognosis really isn't 5 years at the minute. Hopefully it is, but it just suddenly, that was the one thing that hit me, and I just thought, oh God, I've got to be here. And I was like, okay, right, let's just get a smiley face on, because that will help dry the tears up and we'll get over it.